And now tell us, where are you up to now? How many resource churches have you planted, and what's your vision for the next 20 years or so?
Well, can I say I've got an amazing team, and it's such a team effort around the country, and we do it in partnership with bishops. Bishops need to invite us to plant. We say we need three things. We need the invitation of a bishop, we need a leader, and then we need a building. And so we do two things. We either plant into places that there isn't an existing congregation, and we might buy an old warehouse, or we might buy an auction house like we did in Nottingham, or a department store like we did down south in Portsmouth, a city on the south coast, or we get a beautiful building like this. But normally for us, it needs so much repair. So whether it's either of those two, we've currently planted 154 of those, and we've got 6 global hubs around the world as well. And we're on track, God willing. We're wanting to plant 500 by 2026, and then we want to go on to plant 1,000, and we want to raise up just a pipeline of leaders who are not going to just only be pastors, ordained ministers, but who are going to be on those teams.
That is amazing. Now, that's a lot of training that you've got to do if you want to see the nation of the UK change, and a lot of leaders to train up. Now, tell us about the different tracks that you have to train leaders up in it within CRT, because that's really exciting.
It's really exciting. So we very quickly, we put the trust together, we said this is the model, we think this works, but then very quickly we noticed, you can have a first-class theology degree, you can be a brilliant preacher, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lead a healthy church. And we know healthy things grow, and that's what we want to see. We want to see multiplication. And we were calculating, okay, if we're going to, let's say, plant 500 churches, we need 500 leaders. We need 500 ops managers. We need 500 youth workers. We need 500 kids pastors. We need 500 worship leaders. We need everything. We need 500 social transformation coordinators. And how are we going to do that? So we suddenly woke up and thought, we've got to be super intentional. And what we were seeing in our congregation, where we're based, is really talented, amazing young people, men and women, sold out for Jesus. And we were seeing great kind of diversity, ethnic diversity, socioeconomic diversity, academic diversity of people coming into our church. We're 42% ethnically diverse in our church, and because we're in the centre of London. And when we approach them saying, you're leading an amazing Alpha group or amazing Connect group, have you thought of ordination? They'd say, no way, not me. And we'd say, but you're so anointed, there's a call on your life. And one after the next would say, particularly those who were from different ethnic backgrounds, would say, I don't see anyone who looks like me in leadership in the Church of England. There is no one on the platform who looks like me. There is no bishop who looks like me. There is no one in authority that looks like me. I don't feel there's a place for me. And so we thought, we've got to do something. So we set up the first stream of leadership. It's called the Peter stream. And that is that the Apostle Paul was the kind of high, pedigree educated, and Peter, I love to think, he would be tattooed up to here, rough fisherman, and yet Jesus says, on you will I build my church. And we thought, they are Peters. Some of them come out of prison, some of them have come out of addictive lives. They are transformed by Jesus, and they are on fire, and they are pastorally phenomenal, and they've got all the soft skills you could possibly want. And we said to ourselves, didn't we, what would you rather have as a pastor? Someone with a high IQ or someone with a high EQ? Well, I think every time I go for the EQ, somebody who loves you and knows you and wants to pastor you. So we set up this stream, and just to caveat, 12 years ago, we also set up a theological college. We love our theological colleges in the UK, but I know this is being recorded, so I'm feeling nervous now. But let's put it this way, our best leaders were going into theological college, and then they'd go in on fire for Jesus, and they'd come out and we'd be like, what has happened to you? Where's the fire gone? And we just felt it was time that maybe we should start our own theological college that actually could train leaders for church leadership, not just academia, although we need brilliant academics. So what we did is we piloted this Peter stream with our theological college. And I can't tell you, I wish you could meet them. These young men and women are phenomenal, and they are going to change the face of the Church of England. We've got 100 of them going through at the moment, and then we recognise that actually all these village churches are going to close. All these amazing, we've got this extraordinary kind of sleeping giant in our nation of parishes, and we recognise that so many of the rural parishes have just got 3 people left in them. They're going to be sold off. So Nikki Gumbel again read a Harvard Business Review that said, in our nation, retirement is around 60, but life expectancy is around 80. So you could have like 20 more years of amazing, fruitful ministry. So we've launched the Caleb stream, which is not Caleb when he first was going to go into the promised land, but when he was 80. And he says, I'm as fit and as, give me that mountain, that passage. So we're going after the over 60s, and we're saying, you've had a call on your life, you might have been a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, a mum at home, but you've served in your church, you've been formed all these years. We're going to do you 1 year of theological college, we're going to ordain you, and then we're going to put you under like a guy and an MJ to run a church within a family of churches. And we've currently got 300 on the waiting list, and we want to raise up 8,000 because we need 8,000 churches filled.
And there's something really beautiful about it, I have to say, because you've got these young people, some of them have grown up in quite chaotic contexts, and maybe single parent or no parents or whatever, and so they're being called into this kind of amazing life ministry, but around them they've got these parents or grandparents who are on the Calebs who are supporting them and getting behind them, and it's just a beautiful expression of the church, the sort of generations coming together, and it's wonderful.
So there's no room for retirement?
I think there's no retirement in the kingdom, Kino.
Come on, praise Jesus.
Can I say one more thing about them? Just something extraordinary. So maybe 6 years ago, we would have ordinands, coming through seminary, coming through theological college, and they'd email us and they'd say, if lovely, leafy Oxford or Cambridge comes up, we're up for planting a church there. Or, as Tom says, they always want to go to California, feeling a call to California.
No one's called to Alaska.
Yeah, I know, it's classic, isn't it? Yeah, Outer Hebrides. Anyway, and yet in the last 2-3 years, the emails have completely changed. And getting emails from young people who are saying, where is the hardest, most deprived, most difficult place in the country? That is where we want to go. And, we have to sit down with them and we have to say, if you have a family, do you know what this means for your kids' education? There's nowhere like Bootlegger for coffee in that whole of that city. And do you know, their eyes are so full of we're at it, we want to go. And then Tom and I get the privilege of going to visit them around the country in these places, and if I'm honest, they're places I would find really hard to live. And it's like they've gone to Barbados. They're like, isn't this fantastic? This is amazing what's going on. And do you know, that is a move of the Holy Spirit. When God starts to call young men and women to lay down their lives, to not count the cost and to go after mission, because that is our vision, to play our part in the re-evangelization of the nation, the revitalization of the church, and the transformation of society. And that's what they're doing.